A closer look. Today we'll be taking a closer look at a time period in which a couple major elements established industry in the United States. Our subjects for today are industrialization, urbanization, immigration, migration, and the present day political stalemate. So first we will have the first element, industrialization. We will have Devante D'Angelo Brown Davis Johnson with us to discuss the facts, pros, cons, and concepts of industrialization. Everyone, let's welcome Devante D'Angelo Brown Davis Johnson. Welcome, have a seat.
Thank you. Actually, Davis Johnson.
Sorry. Brown Davis Johnson. What made industrialization possible?
Well, basically, during this time, there was a lot of immigration to the United States. There were the Chinese, the Japanese, the Italian, the Irish, and they all came for different reasons. And then when they came to work. And some of them only came to work for a certain amount of time and then go back to their homelands. And so this willingness to work in order to provide for their families is one of the things that made this possible. Another thing that made this possible was people's greed for money. People wanted money because they saw money as a way to advance themselves. And so the innovation back then, it progressed very quickly, and so they made many machines and all these other types of things in areas, especially in Chicago. Chicago was a very prominent place for industry and machines and extreme labor. There were people doing the same thing over and over, and there were a bunch of people that would just sit there and do the same thing over and over for hours at a time, and they would get like a 10-minute break, and then they would have lunch, and then it was just a big hot mess. People were coming from all over the world to work in the United States because they heard about their new industry that they had. They were looking for people to work, and there were sadly constantly people that were getting fired because they weren't able to do their work. They weren't able to do their work. So basically, people were always being replaced and recycled. Now, one reason they were being recycled is because the labor that they had to do was very destructive of the person's body. There was acid all over, like cans and stuff, that people it just ate their fingers. It ate their fingers and they would bleed, and they had to wrap their hands to go to work the next day. Just really vile, indecent things. And yeah, people were just trying to make money for their family. They could take it back to their family. They could make a family in the United States. It was just so many different aspects of the large quantities of people that were there. So one thing that made it possible was just so many people that were willing to work for themselves and for their family. There were many things that needed to get done, and they were happening very slowly. So people decided, let's get our creative juices running. Let's start making machines that can do things so we can get things done faster. There were many people who are making machines to make things easier, just like we do now. That's why we have computers, so that way we don't have to sit there and do it on a typewriter and do it over and whiteout and blah blah blah. So people started making machines that could build things more quickly, basically. And then there was also the determination to build these machines. The determinations of the people who decided, let's put all these machines together and make a factory, and people can work in these factories. We can get these products out and done, and we can make money. Money was one of those things where people were like, the more money I have, the more power I have, and the more I can do with whatever I want to. And that's why people came from different countries, and they were like, well, I'm gonna make money for me, I'm gonna make money for my family, I'm gonna go and bring money back to my country so that way I could do more in my country. And those are the things that made things possible during this time. Another reason for the urbanization was the industrialization that had taken place before the immigrants had got there. The people who put all the machines together and the factories, like, they basically brought the people to America. John D. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, all those people who had a whole bunch of people working in their factories, they're also a big part of the reason why there was urbanization. Now basically what urbanization is when people come to live in cities, and the cities become huge cities with factories and these just huge cities. So basically people came and they lived in these nasty, grimy, dirty facilities. It was a couple families to a house, and the house was about no bigger than this room, and sometimes it wasn't even a bathroom. So picture no sanitation, you and 3 other families that you don't even know, let alone trust for that matter, and you work 12 hours a day for like 28 cents. The difference between the American urbanization and the European urbanization was in Europe, they only had people from Europe that were urbanizing Europe. With the American urbanization, there were people from China, people from Japan, Italy, Ireland, Czechoslovakia, and they all came to work in one little country. Not a continent, a country. And so, not only that, but the Europeans didn't put blocks and laws on people who could come and work in their cities. It was just, whoever wants to come and work in my factory, you can come and work in my factory. That's how it worked. Industrialization took place during this time because it was right after World War I. And during World War I, people built machines that made killing people more efficient. That's the only way I can put it. And so basically they said, okay, well, if we can make this more efficient, what else can we enhance and make more innovative? So then they started to make different machines. That's how people started making the cotton gin and the steam engine and that well thingy. What's that? Mill, something mill. Fudge, I got my things off. Okay, where did I leave off? That's when people started making the cotton gin and the steam engine and inventions like that. And then people started making parts that they basically didn't make the whole machine as one part. They made little parts of the machine at one time, so that way when you put them all together, when one didn't work, you didn't have to go and make a whole nother machine. You just had to take one little piece out, put one little piece back in, and the machine's back to working again. Oh, I hate this stinking project. I don't have another project to check in. I hope so. What classes do we have today anyway? No, it's due Thursday. But we still gotta edit it and put everything together. Oh. Urbanization can be summed up by industrialization and immigration. When industrialization happened, urbanization happened. People started to come because they wanted to work. People started to put machines together and build factories so that people could sit there, do the same thing over and over and over till it made them sick or they died, literally. The people who made this possible were the immigrants who decided to come over and work for their families or just for themselves to find land here. The people who made the factories, the people who put all those machines together, the people who had the money to put all those machines together, and the people like this.
Okay. Well, I say we welcome them. They're good for the economy, they gave us these comfy blankets, and come on, can anyone here honestly say they don't like fire water?
Didn't they kill your entire family in a raid last week?
Okay, I'll admit there are some cultural differences.
Oh, you pale-face loving hippie!
As protector of the lands between Sacred Bear Mountain and Lake Popozao, I declare the following new laws. All uninvited crackers will now be considered illegal crackers, and we can send them back to where they came from at any time.
Send us back to England?
England? We thought you came from the moon. Furthermore, illegal crackers are now required to register with our guest Indian program. And after living in harmony with the land for at least 6 years, they will be given a Junior Scout card that must be presented at all trading posts, wigwams, wampum shacks, casinos. Listen.
Hey, everybody, just chill out, okay, man?
Everybody freaking chill!
Chill.
Yes. These people aren't immigrating, they're like migrating.
Yeah, it's like how we fly south for the winter because it's too freaking cold.
These people just came here because England sucks. I mean, nobody would live in England if they had a choice, right?
It's too freaking cold there. You know, the freaking country sucks. They freaking come here, you know? What's the big freaking deal?
So if we welcome this new wave of immigrants, no harm will come to us?
Probably not, man.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
Now, how is it different between the previous urbanization period? Well, the one that I could find was the European urbanization. One was the demographics, according to race. We, in our urbanization, we had people from all over the world coming to work in our country. Not our continent, just our country. In Europe, it was just the people in Europe that went to big cities to work in the factory. Another thing was, they didn't have restrictions on the people when they went to certain places. Probably because they didn't have people come from all over the world to work in their cities. We had the China Exclusion Act, we had the 3% rule, and all other kinds of things that just kind of blocked out people because they were becoming overpopulated. Industrialization happened during this period because World War I had just ended and people were like, okay, people were being creative. They wanted to make things more efficient. So they started to build machines, as had to do with World War I. Okay. When people were in war, they built machines to make things easier when, you know, they're fighting against the other people. So they thought, hey, if we could build machines to do this, well, what else can we build machines to do? So then they started building machines like the cotton gin, the steam engine, and all this other stuff, and that's when they started to make these big factories to where people can sit there and work endlessly.
Now we will have our next guest talking about immigration and migration, Dr. Abigail Ventura Lee Jackson Davis. Everyone, let's welcome her. Welcome. No relation to Devontae D'Angelo Brown Davis Johnson, right? Okay, so about migration and immigration, what took place during this time period?
Early 1900s, approximately 12 million immigrants came to the U.S. 60% of these immigrants lived in the 12 largest cities of the U.S. Most of these immigrants came from Japan,
China,
Italy,
Ireland,
Czechoslovakia,
France,
Canada,
wherever Jewish people come from,
Greece,
and Arabia.